And welcome to KBLP and Fear the Walking Dead. This is going to be a recap of episode 4, season 4. So, what did y'all think up to this point? I think that the season started off well with Morgan, and episode 2 was good. 3 was a blindside. What the hell, Fear? This last one, I have mixed feelings about it. I really do. So if you have an opinion, please let me know. So you think you know what happened, right? But you don't, okay? Strand warned Al in Sunday's haunting episode, and more, it's giving us a feeling that we didn't know what happened at the baseball diamond either. So as we continue on, we'll go over some of the new clues that were dropped, and we'll usher Nick back down the path towards his own demise and reveal whether your guesses about John's lost love, Laura, were correct. So stay tuned, okay? This episode is called Buried. Early on in Buried, Lucy told Al during one of the interviews that was most of the hour, that there had been a day when they could have stopped all this from happening. Excuse me. As soon as I start this, I do that. But anyway, could they? I mean, hindsight's 2020, right? It had been about 2 weeks after the vultures had begun nesting in the Diamond's parking lot, and our protagonists had been reduced to using cattle feed to stretch their rations, of course. Various pairings, Nick and Lucy, Alicia and Naomi, and Strand and Cole, were going on different runs. That, Lucy said, had been their first mistake. While they were gone, Madison reiterated to Mel her offer to take in the vultures. And of course, in response, he explained that he and brother Ennis used to live with a few other families on a cattle ranch up in hill country. It was a good setup until the wildfires started up. Madison assumed that everyone else had decided to stay. Mel and Ennis had fled. That wasn't the case at all. Surprise, right? Mel had convinced his loved ones not to leave, and that had been the wrong call. And I could hear them dying, he said, screaming as we drove off. Ooh, how cold is that? I mean, really, how cold is that? To listen to their screams as you're driving off. And of course, after Strand and Cole found at a nursery some plants that were at least vaguely edible, and survived an attack by walkers covered in cactus spines. They were pretty cool looking. But anyway, again, plants that were at least vaguely edible. Okay, we've talked about this on Planet B.O.B. Know your plant so you know what to eat. There you go. Okay. Victor admitted that he did indeed like his handsome suitor. He was just reluctant to open up. I've done things, he said, ominously showing Cole the rock. A souvenir of the dam, maybe? But he showed Cole the rock that he carried around to remind him of the kind of man he didn't want to become again. Unfortunately, the kind of man that he did want to become was apparently a selfish bastard. So there you go. Yeah. Anyway, he next took Cole to a parking lot to show him a getaway car he'd been filling with supplies since the Diamond's crop started failing. Well, isn't that nice? If Cole ran away with him, this, I quote, insurance policy would buy them a month at least, Strand said, adding, "You want to get to know me? This is me." But Cole, upright to the core, rejected the indecent proposal that they abandoned Madison and company and drove himself back to the Diamond. Personally, I was not drawn into this episode much at all. My mind was wandering as I was watching it. I watched it twice. I tried to. Madison just gets under my skin for whatever reason. I don't know what it is, but she really does get under my skin pretty much. I wasn't drawn into this episode like the first three. I don't know what it is. I don't know whether it's the downplay with the. I don't know. They all sound so. Madison especially. She sounds so. I don't know. It's like to me. This is personal, of course. I'm sure there's lots of fans out there, but she's trying to be badass, but she's not. And I see that she's that what she's trying to be, and it's not. She's not projecting that at all. To me, it's projecting somebody who wants to be but isn't. So take that with a grain of salt, if you will. That's just my opinion, okay? I just have a hard time with this episode for whatever reason. I was kind of bored with it. So anyway, getting on with this episode. Alicia and Naomi, of course, scavenged at the water park. That was pretty cool, the water park. Where survivors had apparently lived until the fences gave way, of course, letting in the walkers. And you know what? They didn't have any tickets either, so they shouldn't have been there. This part of the episode was pretty decent. I have to admit, it was pretty cool. I hope if you guys watched it, I hope you. If you haven't, go back and watch it again. I did watch it twice. This was one of the better parts of the episode. And words, I don't know how to do justice to the roadie spectacle, a swimming pool full of walkers. So there you go. That was pretty cool. But shades of, okay, TWD again, the swamp and the other things. Remember the body of water that they put on fire with the walkers? That was pretty cool too in The Walking Dead. But a lot of parallels here, a lot of parallels. So anyway, that was a pretty cool scene though. Anyway, after climbing up a water slide to reach the higher ground, to which the former park's occupants fled, because there were supplies up there, and sliding back down along with a piece of a machine gun, Alicia let Naomi distract her with binoculars while she quietly snuck out. Too bad for Naomi. The truck she planned to use to hit the road ran out of gas after going, about 12 inches, okay? I'm like, wow, okay. But anyway, apparently nobody checked to see if they had enough gas in there because it didn't go very far at all. Maybe a foot. Okay. Anyway, that's the second time you ran out of me since we met, Alicia. She was ticked off. She wasn't totally ticked exactly, but she needed to know whether Naomi was with them or not. I just can't do it, Naomi said. Okay, then Alicia replied. She hoped Naomi would eventually change her mind. But whether or not she did, of course, Alicia would help gas up the truck. You go out on a run or something and you don't check the gas. That's the first time I've seen that. Anyway, I like I said, kind of had a hard time with this episode. I don't know. That was a cool part of it. There were some, that scene in particular was good. Madison scenes, I just, like she's talking to that vulture, and it's just like, I don't know. I can't put my finger on what it is with her. She's definitely not one of my favorites, but anyway. And we go to, moving on, we go to I Never Should Have Opened That Book. On Nick and Lucy's runs, he took her to not exactly the best-known canned good hotspot in the world, the library. Who'd have thought, right? He pulled off the wall. It was a poster right out of the Sue Heck collection. He explained to his girlfriend he was determined to find some books to build a library at the Diamond. So, well, okay, that's a good thing. They had to give people a reason to stick around. It couldn't just be about food. Hey, Ike, did you watch the episode? What did you think about this episode, Ike, if you watched it? Good you're here. I think personally, the last thing on my mind, if there's a food issue going on, would be building a library. But I can kind of see where he's coming from. You have to have, I guess having a library would be all right. I don't know if that would take. I don't know if that would give people a reason to stick around, but it's pretty good. He argued that it couldn't just be about food. But before the books, we could have, okay, okay. Um, you're gonna get some spoilers here, then. You'll have to let me know what you thought. But anyway, before books, how about the wine store or something? Maybe they could have found that. That was Eugene's go-to, right? Why the wine? But anyway, it took Lucy all about half a second to realize what Nick really wanted to do is give Charlie a reason to stick around. Why? Why? And she, yeah, let me know what you think, what you thought. Yeah, there are spoilers here, so if you haven't seen it, you may get some. I don't know. You know, and she also added that what they should really be doing was thinking about where to go next, to start again with new crops. Um, and she offered a map of the southwestern states. First page we open to, that's where we take everyone. Except once the map had suggested a spot to the north, Nick came up with an idea that was totally different, and in fact the opposite of uprooting the diamond dwellers, okay? Up north, wouldn't that be coincidence, right? North and east, right? Um, and why would, I don't know, by keeping Charlie around, why would you want to do that? If one lesson we're learning in both shows, it's don't trust the kids, right? All of them so far have been a sociopathic. Wow. I know we've discussed this before, but you had Sam, you had Lizzie. They're just creepy kids. I mean, come on. Sam's brother who shot Carl in the eye. Henry now, yeah, and Charlie on fear. So one lesson we've learned so far in both shows: do not trust the children. Okay, not a good thing. Not when they become like Sam's age and up. Lizzie was, wow, her character was so bizarre, but it was great because it was memorable. Right, that's what we talk about. So anyway, why? I mean, of all things that he should have been thinking about, uh, why think? I mean, that was kind of a real distraction type run. Go to the library, and worrying about